Hey there guys, so the Oscars is coming up soon. It's come around really quick. It's been a really good award season. Great set of films that's been released and what's been nominated for this year. It's been a really solid year in my opinion. So let's get into it. These are my predictions, who I think will win, who I'd want to win for 2024. Let's get into it. So the big one of the night, Best Picture. It's a good list this year, a really good list. So you got The Holdovers, American Fiction, Zone of Interest, Barbie, Oppenheimer, Poor Things, Past Lives, Anatomy of a Fall, Maestro, and Killers of the Flower Moon. There's only a couple of films that I was a bit disappointed in out of that list. So I would say Maestro and Anatomy of a Fall were films that disappointed me quite a bit. Anatomy of a Fall, it's one of those films where everything's fine. The acting's great, the writing's great, the direction is great, the editing's great, the story's great, but you're just not emotionally invested like you think you would be. And that was my issue with it. I just wasn't invested in the story as much as I thought I would. So a bit disappointed with that one. I don't think Barbie belongs there, to be honest. It's a good film. I saw it twice at the cinema. I went with my mates watching it first time, and then I went with my daughter the second time. I had fun watching it. Is it Best Picture worthy? No, not in my opinion. I think there were better films released this year that could have snuck in there. One being Dream Scenario with Nicolas Cage. That was fantastic. The Iron Claw. That was another fantastic film. And Godzilla -1. I feel like Oppenheimer has pulled away from the rest of the pack. And I feel like that is the film that is going to win it this year. Who I'd love to win is Past Lives. That was my favourite film of the year. I don't know if you'd noticed that watching my vids. I absolutely adored that film. But Oppenheimer will win. I think it deserves to win for Chris Nolan. It's been around in the industry for quite a while now. The Following was in 1998 and he's only gone for teaser trailer. I feel like it deserves to win. Not my favourite film of the year. However, it is a worthy winner. Okay, Best Actor. You got Paul Giamatti for Holdovers, Bradley Cooper for Maestro, Dorman Domingo for Rustin, Cillian Murphy for Oppenheimer, and Jeffrey Wright for American Fiction. I do feel like Cillian Murphy deserves the recognition for the work he's put in. In Oppenheimer, he has this really silent intensity to him. His facial expressions are just fantastic. I love what he brings to the role. He has such emotion in the performance without necessarily having to portray it in terms of... Giamatti's great in The Holdovers. Jeffrey Wright is fantastic in American Fiction. American Fiction is so funny. The only performance out of that list I was a bit disappointed is Bradley Cooper. Bradley Cooper looks to me like someone who is acting. And that's the problem. It kind of feels a bit stage play, and it looks to me like he's trying a bit too hard. Dorman Domingo gives a great performance in Rustin, but I feel like Cillian Murphy will get that one. And I would like to see him win it as well. Best Actress seems to be like a two-horse race at the minute. So you got Emma Stone for Poor Things, Lily Gladstone for Killers of the Flower Moon, Annette Bening for Nyad, Carey Mulligan for Maestro, and Sandra Hüller, Anatomy of a Fall. Sandra Hüller's had a great year with Zone of Interest and Anatomy of a Fall. Gives two great performances in those films. However, it comes down to Emma Stone and Lily Gladstone. And to be honest, I'm not really fussed if either of them wins it, to be honest. I think they're both brilliant in their roles. Emma Stone becomes Bella. She really immerses herself into that unique character. And Lily Gladstone gives such an emotional, overwhelming performance in Killers of the Flower Moon. What her character goes through, it's just crazy, to be honest. And you think she was going to get a bit covered in with the likes of Leo DiCaprio and Robert De Niro, and she proper holds her own, and she gives the best performance of the film. So if either of those win, I'm not really too fussed. If I was to put a gun to my head and say who I'd maybe favour over, maybe Emma Stone. I did love Bella Baxter, such a unique character, and I wasn't watching Emma Stone play her, I was just watching Bella. So maybe Emma Stone, but if Lily gets it, great. She really deserves it. Okay, Best Supporting Actor. You got Mark Ruffalo for Poor Things, Robert De Niro, Killers of the Flower Moon, Robert Downey Jr., Oppenheimer, Sterling K. Brown, American Fiction, and Ryan Gosling, Barbie. This is the most stacked one, I think, because there's not one of them that is weak in this category. It's fantastic. This is the best list, I feel. Mark Ruffalo is hilarious in Poor Things. Robert De Niro is just solid in Killers of the Flower Moon. Robert Downey Jr. gives a career best performance and makes people realise just how good of an actor he is. Sterling K. Brown has given some great performances in TVs, The People vs. O.J. Simpson and This Is Us. It's really great to see him get a really meaty film role and then he gets the recognition for it. He's fantastic in American Fiction. Even though he's not in the film that much, to be honest, he gives a fantastic performance. I loved his character in that film. And Ryan Gosling, it's really ironic that in Barbie's world, it's a female-dominated world, but it's really ironic that the best part of the film was Ken. It's kind of sad for them in a way, but that is the reality of it, is Ken was the best part of it, and Ryan Gosling gave the best performance in that film. He was fantastic. It was really funny in it. He has such layers of charisma. You look at something like Blade Runner 2009 when he has to strip back. He is still really charming and he draws you in and it makes you want to keep on watching him. So who I think is going to win this one is Robert Downey Jr. He's won everything else. He's won the Golden Globe, the BAFTA, Screen Actors Guild Award. He could have very well been nominated for Captain America Civil War. He was fantastic in that film, but there is still maybe discrimination against comic book films. The Dark Knight should have been the first comic book film nominated for Academy Award. It was Black Panther. And you've had Heath Ledger posthumously win for The Dark Knight. And you've had Angela Bassett nominated for Black Panther, Wakanda Forever. Robert Downey Jr. could have been nominated for Captain America Civil War. He was that good in the film. It's great to see him in a film like Oppenheimer. And then he gets this slew of award nominations. So you got America Ferrera for Barbie, Danielle Brooks, The Colour Purple, Divine Joy Randolph for The Holdovers, Emily Blunt for Oppenheimer, and Jodie Foster for Nyad. I think this one's just a lot for Divine Joy. She is the voice of reason. She's the glue that holds the film together. She might not have that many scenes in The Holdovers, but she is just phenomenal. She takes over the screen. She has great chemistry with Paul Giamatti. She's won pretty much everything in this category this year. She's won the Golden Globe, the BAFTA. I think she won the Screen Actors Guild Award. I'm sure she did. So in this list, everyone's deserving in this list. Emily Blunt's fantastic in Oppenheimer. America Ferrera is good in Barbie, but Divine Joy, I think if she doesn't win, it will be a travesty, to be honest. Best Director, Justine Triet, Anatomy of a Fall, Martin Scorsese, Killer of the Flowers Moon, Yorgos Lanthimos for Poor Things, Christopher Nolan for Oppenheimer, and Jonathan Glazer for Zone of Interest. I do believe that if you knew nothing about Oppenheimer going into it, within 10 minutes you'd know this is a Christopher Nolan film. His presence is really there in this film and it's just fantastic. He really deserves it. He deserved more recognition for The Dark Knight, Inception, Interstellar. Those were really well directed films and now you've got it all put together. Dunkirk as well was fantastic in this. Even though I wasn't as blown away by everyone by Anatomy of a Fall, Justine deserves a nomination. Yorgos Lanthimos, Poor Things was just a brilliant film. Do I feel like Greta got snubbed for Barbie? No, I don't think. And this isn't anything to do with, the gender division. Celine Song, a female, directed Past Lives. I feel like she deserved Best Director nomination. That was fantastic. So it isn't to do with any gender inequality, any bias. I don't think Barbie was just one of the best directed films of that year. Okay, now we've got Best Animated Feature, Nimona, Robot Dreams, The Boy and the Heron, Elemental, Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. I feel like this is coming down to two. Maybe The Boy and the Heron is pulling away. I would say it's between that and Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. I've not actually seen Boy and the Heron, so I can't really comment too much on it. I just know that it is blowing people's minds. and it is the front runner. The best film I've seen in this list is Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. I absolutely love that film. I think the last hour really was edgy your seat thrills. It was brilliant. I love the animation. It took a long time to animate this film. All the Spider-Man chasing each other throughout the Spider-Verse to get together. That took a long time. So I'd love to see Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse win, but I wouldn't be surprised if Boy in Heaven gets read out. Okay, let's talk about best visual effects. Godzilla -1, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, Napoleon, The Creator, Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning. I feel like Godzilla -1 should get it. Not only was it done on a 15 million budget, those effects were just solid. You really feel like Godzilla could just reach out and touch you. The scale of the film is very grand, and what they did was just phenomenal. And it put to shame films like the Marvels that had a 200 million budget, and Argyle that had a 200 million budget. To create what they created on a 15 million budget is fantastic. It's incredible. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 had really solid visuals. The Creator only had an 80 million budget, which is quite small compared to what Marvel is producing. It looked great, but Godzilla -1 should get that one, I feel. Okay, we got Best Adapted Screenplay now. American Fiction, Zone of Interest, Barbie, Oppenheimer, Poor Things. This one, I would absolutely love to see American Fiction win this one. The writing is just solid. I love the characters introduced in the film. I love the development of the story. It was so funny. It had really great dramatic moments too. Really laugh out loud fun in the cinema watching American Fiction. I would love to see it win. I think I'm surprised Zone of Interest is nominated because it's a very dialogue light film. It's all about the suspense, and there's not much of a plot either. It's very much of the suspense and the event happening around the family. So I am a bit surprised that Zone of Interest is nominated, really. Barbie had some funny moments, some good jokes in there, some good writing. Oppenheimer, fantastic dialogue. Chris Nolan, along with his brother Jonathan, they've always written great dialogue together, but Chris Nolan's just credited for this one. So Oppenheimer could win for this one. The Poor Things was phenomenal. What a script that was. Bella Baxter she's just a brilliant character put to screen. One of the best characters I've actually seen at the cinema put to screen, to be honest. But it would be great for American Fiction to win that one. Best Original Screenplay. So you got The Holdovers, May December, Past Lives, Anatomy of a Fall, and Maestro. My favourite film of the year, Past Lives. Come on, Past Lives. Love Past Lives to win it. The Holdovers had great dialogue and great characters. Maestro, obviously, disappoint me. Anatomy of a Fall, because I wasn't as invested. I was more invested in films like Dream Scenario. Maybe there is something that you could critique on the script. If you're not emotionally invested, then it becomes a bit of a disappointing experience. Past Lives was just not that experience. I absolutely couldn't wait to see the film, and it blew my socks off. So I would love to see Past Lives win Best Original Screenplay. I feel like The Holdovers will get it though, or Anatomy of a Fall. Best Original Score, you've got American Fiction, Oppenheimer, Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny, Poor Things, Killers of the Flower Moon. For me, Oppenheimer should win this one. Ludwig Göransson absolutely smashed it. It's really big, it's dramatic, it's emotional, it's powerful. It's everything you need it to be for this story. It really complements every scene. Yeah, I would love it to win. I did really enjoy the jazziness of American Fiction. I thought it worked really well. Poor Things had a few good scores here and there, but most of the time I was a bit disappointed with the music. I said in my review there was one score that had some bagpipes in it. I wasn't keen on that, so I wouldn't give it to that. And Killers of the Flower Moon, I can't really remember the music, to be honest, in that one. So I would like Oppenheimer to win that one. Best Cinematography, Oppenheimer, Poor Things, El Conde, Maestro, Killers of the Flower Moon. This one, Maybe Poor Things. Poor Things is like every frame is a painting. It looks so beautiful. You really can tell that they just put every thought into every frame captured for the story. Robbie Ryan did such an excellent job. So even though Oppenheimer is solid, I would love Poor Things to win that one. Really fantastic. Best costume design. I feel like Barbie excels in production and costume and makeup and hairstyle. I think Barbie will sweep that. I think it's at least 4 awards it's going to win that night. Like I said, I don't feel like it deserves Best Picture, but in terms of production design, I feel like it will win that one. So Barbie could definitely win Best Costume Design as well as production design. Best Film Editing, you got The Holdovers, Oppenheimer, Poor Things, Anatomy of a Fall, Killers of the Flower Moon. I think Oppenheimer's just definitely going to get that one. I feel like what they put into that 3 hours to make people stay invested in the story is fantastic. I would have definitely cut at least 20 minutes out of the film. There is a moment in the third act where the pacing's getting a bit slower, but overall, solid editing. Yeah, I'm going to wrap it up there. I'm not going to talk about every single category. I think it's been a really great year for film. So we'll see what happens.